Draft prep time, that time of year again with Bucky Brooks on NFL Now as we're looking at Florida State defensive lineman Eddie Goldman, a guy who, coaches loved him at Florida State, hoping the same thing might happen in the NFL for him.
Very exciting prospect. It's hard to find big guys that can really move well laterally, but also have the ability to play with power. Eddie Goldman is a rare commodity in the National Football League. A guy that's very active, he's strong, really came into his own this year, made plays in critical moments for Florida State. And when I'm looking at a guy on tape, particularly a defensive tackle, I want someone who is a disruptive force at the point of attack. Eddie Goldman is that, and because of that, there will be a lot of people that get really excited about him when they start taking a hard look at his game.
You talk about a guy who's big and a guy who's also very athletic, especially for his size, and those are traits in high demand in the NFL.
Yeah, versatility is really big in the National Football League, and when I'm building the defense, we always talk about building it right up front. Because he can play nose tackle, he can play the 3 technique, which is off the shade of the guard. He gives you a lot of flexibility in what you want to do on defense, but really it comes back to being disruptive and active. Eddie Goldman is disruptive and active, and because of that, defensive coaches would really be excited about his potential.
Whose game does he remind you of in the league right
now? You know, he reminds me of former Seminole Darnell Dockett with the Arizona Cardinals. Darnell Dockett is a guy that's played multiple positions in multiple schemes for the Cardinals since coming into the league. We talk about a guy who's had as many as 9 sacks during his career, but is also stout versus the run. When I look at Eddie Goldman in the right system, he can give you anything that you want. Run stuffer, he can be a guy that can also make plays as a pass rusher. A lot of versatility, a lot of things to like about Eddie Goldman.
We know, obviously, how much talent is on this Florida State roster. Does it make it more difficult to accurately gauge a guy because you don't know how much other attention other players on that line are drawing away from him?
Yeah, it does make it tough to evaluate it because they have a lot of talent on their defense. You look at a bunch of guys making plays, but really, when I look at defense, it starts up front. He is the guy that is the most active player along that line, and because he's so disruptive, a lot of guys feed off of his energy and make plays because he occupies multiple blockers at the point of attack.
Okay, Eddie Goldman, Florida State defensive tackle. And if you want to read about more guys who are hoping to make it big come draft day, you can go to NFL.com/collegefootball. Doing some draft prep on NFL Now with Bucky Brooks as we talk about Eli Harold, 247 pounds, 6'3", outside linebacker from Virginia. Bucky, your initial evaluation of him.
You know, he's a very intriguing prospect, a guy that does a lot of things at UVA. He comes off the edge. He has good quickness, a nice closing burst, does a great job of getting to the quarterback. I also like his ability to play against the run. And so when you're looking at edge players, you want guys that can really give you contributions in multiple areas. Eli Harold is a guy that certainly can do that.
Bucky, you wrote that he was a guy who really helped himself out in Indy, and one of his attributes is his versatility. What kind of a scheme is the best fit for him?
I think a 3-4 outside linebacker is the ideal spot for Eli Harold. This is a guy, the last 2 years, he has 15.5 sacks, does a great job of really getting to the quarterback, and a lot of it is on sheer effort and determination. There we see him dropping into coverage. We see the athleticism, the fluidity. In a 3-4 defense where you give him an opportunity to do multiple things, you can get a lot of production for him. I'm not saying that he's a dominant player on your front line, but he's a complementary player that really helps if you have a guy that is an impact player on the opposite side.
You said that he reminds you of Olivier Vernon, defensive end for the Dolphins. How are their games similar?
You know, their games are similar because much like Olivier Vernon, he's a complementary player. Olivier Vernon plays opposite Cameron Wake. Cameron Wake is a dominant guy, the guy that offenses really put a lot of attention and emphasis on. But when you go one-on-one with Vernon, he hurts you from the backside. I think Eli Harold can be a player like that as he continues to develop the tools in his toolbox and becomes an outstanding pass rusher. He's a guy that can give you double-digit sacks, but if not, he'd be a guy that gives you 7 sacks, a couple interceptions, and a ton of tackles as a hybrid player in a 3-4 defense.
As I mentioned before, you'd written in one of your columns that he helped himself out in Indianapolis. How much has he moved in this offseason as we get ready for the draft?
Well, I think he's in conversation as a bottom of the first-round player. So many teams run a 3-4 defense looking for that edge player to be the final piece of the puzzle. He's a guy that can do that. Complementary player, not a dominant player, but a guy that really can fit a role in the right scheme.
All right, good stuff, Bucky. We are counting down to the draft, and you can as well at NFL.com/collegefootball.
The referee says play on, back into the middle for Shannon. Box 40 yards out. Box back for Adley. Give it go. Box gets to the end of it. Here's the shot. Right. So down to the knees. Plays it into the chest. Comfortable throw. Both sides. Plays it long for Luco. Luco lets it run. Bounce. Has the ball outside the area. Cuts to the middle. Looks for help. She's got Welsh in space. And the ball's a little behind Welsh. Welsh now 2 defenders on it. Get the back for Aluko. Still outside the area. Aluko now makes a move around Sanchez. Shot. Deflected away. Fine save by LeBlanc. Cleared out by Mikowski. Back it goes. Bach over mid try forward for Shannon Fox, 30 yards out. Quick touch for Miyama. Miyama looking forward. Pond one. Dwan has it. Chips it around. Ellerson gets the return ball. Fires a goal in. 1-0 LA. Pond Dwan made it all by herself with a fantastic chip around all this. Reserve your seats today by calling 1-888. Turnover at midfield. Gives it back to Athletica. Aluko feeds Wells. Wells has the ball underneath her. Tries to dig it out. Gets it back to Aluko. Stuffs her shot. And LeBlanc's there to grab it. A big chance here. I think Christy Wells has the best ball. Wozniak puts it in. It comes to play. Here's the shot. Oh! Makes an unbelievable save. Wozniak taking the far side corner to the right flank. Wozniak delivers it. LeBlanc holds the line. Headed down by Cancredi. LeBlanc again.
Cancredi save. LeBlanc.
Cancredi with the header.
Luckily, run right at Ali Ragland. He gets it to behind in the middle. Now it's Andrew Wozniak picks it up. Aluko turns, faces the goal. Gets it to the midfield, or to the top.
Sinelli
drive off of Brittany Bach. Another shot defended by Los Angeles. And they are blocking some of St. Louis. Back to Stephanie Cox. Cox, long drive. Headed away by Kingle. Fletcher outside the 18. Loose ball back for Marta. Marta's a penalty. And a goal for Marta. 2-0 LA. She kisses the boots. And LA are almost home warm and dry. Gotta get something here quickly.
Hanks.
Gotta have it in the next minute or two. Aluko. For Hanks. Hanks, a shot!
Cancredi, Larson,
we are now 20 seconds
Marta.
away from that stoppage time. Marta brings down a loose ball in the midfield.
Shot Marta, goal kick, solo.